Shabbat Shalom. I want to say just briefly how grateful I am on this morning to continue to have the freedom to worship as we have seen fit to do. To lean on our sacred words, our liturgy, the teachings of our ancestors, and to honor the Jewish family by expressing praise and gratitude to the Holy One in the way that we have desired. I don't take that for granted for 1 minute, and I know none of you do either. In our morning blessings, what are called the Birchot HaShachar, or the Nisim Shebachol Yom, the blessings of the dawn, or the blessings that invite us to celebrate the miracle of every day, because every day is a miracle. It's thought that many, if not most of them, are metaphorical, but they also are thought to mirror the motions of a person waking up in the morning, stretching, giving thanks for the blessing of clothing, for being able to be released from the bonds of sleep, hopefully refreshed and ready to meet the new day. And one of them says, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Praised is the source of being, our God, sovereign of the universe, Pokeach Ivrim, who gives sight to the blind. It's thought that maybe that's the mirroring of a person working the sleep out of their eyes, blinking into the light of a new day. But this language is a little more specific than that. Pokeach Ivrim, giving sight to the blind. At the end of Moses' orations, he speaks to the Israelites in a way that is asking them not only to listen, but very much to see. That's why I pointed out the word re'eh earlier. We have it a lot in the book of Deuteronomy. See, look, open your eyes. And even at the end of last week's Parsha, he's a little concerned that they have not yet really received understanding, a mind to discern, or eyes to see, or ears to hear. He's still worried that their senses are not fully awake. So I want to pay tribute this week to an experience of a fellow traveler on this earth who had his sight restored. And in thinking about this miracle, I want us to just note along the way how absolutely blessed we are, despite everything that we face in our day, in our time, to be the beneficiaries of wise and courageous scientists and researchers who have given us, in so many ways unimagined in human history, a chance to live and be as healthy as possible. Some of you may have heard this story this week. I will give you a tiny disclaimer. If you're a little squeamish, just know some of this is a little, it might be a little uncomfortable, but please know how miraculous this little story is. I won't dwell on the squeamish part, but just talk about eye-openingness. I want to thank Asuka Koda for wonderful reporting. This appeared in many places. This is the story of Brent Chapman. When he was 13, he took some ibuprofen during a basketball game he was playing at the December holidays. It was a drug he had taken before, but what happened next was not routine. He had a severe reaction that caused burns all over his body, including on the surface of his eyes. Extremely rare. Brent was in a coma for 27 days. He lost his left eye to an infection and lost most of his vision in the other eye. His body recovered, but his vision never returned fully. He said, "For 20 years, I've been having close to 50 surgeries trying to save the remaining eye. Most of them have been cornea transplants. They'd put in a new cornea, it would last a few months or even up to a couple years, but it never really healed." But Dr. Greg Maloney, Clinical Associate Professor of Corneal Surgery at the University of British Columbia, was able to restore Brent Chapman's sight with a rare procedure that involved implanting Brent's own tooth into his eye. Brent said, "I'm so happy and I'm just taking in the world again, appreciating the little things. It's surreal. There's a euphoric feeling to it." The procedure is known as tooth in eye or osteoodontokeratoprosthesis. It involves removing a patient's tooth, sewing a piece of it into their cheek, and then placing the structure into their eye. In a healthy eye, the cornea acts like a windshield. It allows light to pass through to the lens and then to the retina, where it's converted into electrical signals sent to the brain. The cornea's clarity depends on adequate lubrication and a steady renewal of cells by limbal stem cells. And in conditions like the one that Brent had, those systems fail. When the cornea is permanently opaque and the eye rejects a cornea transplant, surgeons sometimes turn to what's called tooth in eye surgery. If you want to just pause for a moment and imagine what goes into our eye, even receiving one image, that is eye-opening if you've ever attempted to study how the eye works. If you need to have some belief in a divine designer, try to get a sense of how the eye works. Unbelievable. Dr. Maloney said the tooth is actually an ideal structure for holding what's called a focusing element in place. It's hard, it's rigid, it survives in poor environments, and the body accepts it because it is part of its own. An instance of the body with extraordinary intervention being able to heal itself. It is a little graphic, so I won't describe the actual procedure. If you want to look it up, if you're curious to know about this remarkable procedure, do look it up. Tooth in eye surgery. You'll find it in a millisecond, thanks to the wonders of the internet. But it's just the kind of thing that makes you sit back in your seat and say, "Oh my God, what wonders have you wrought?" Dr. Maloney said there are two types of candidates for the surgery: people like Brent, who have tried every other procedure, or those who are so severely affected by an initial disease that doctors know from the outset that other options won't work. The surgery takes more than 12 hours and across 2 stages. Actually takes quite a while to prepare even before the final surgery. It's really rare, performed by only a handful of specialists worldwide. But for people who qualify, success can mean regaining nearly normal vision. Dr. Maloney said, "It's like watching people come out of a time capsule and reintroduce themselves to the world." It's highly emotional for us. Brent's tooth was taken out in February. The structure was placed into his eye in June. His last surgery, which straightened the lens to correct visual distortion, took place a few weeks ago. He got glasses on August 13th and now has 20/30 vision in that eye, meaning he can see details at a distance of 20 feet that a person with perfect vision can see at 30 feet. My vision is something like 2200, so I'm amazed. The first thing he saw after his surgery, he said, was the skyline from Dr. Maloney's 16th floor office. "It is indescribable," he said, "to be able to see the whole city and how there's a whole world that's just intersecting. When you're blind or low vision, you're not seeing that and you're kind of in your head more. There's a lot of mental chatter and it can be very difficult." Dr. Maloney and I made eye contact for the first time and we both got quite emotional. I haven't really made eye contact in 20 years. Before the tooth and eye surgery, Brent was close to giving up hope. He said, we really didn't have any more options. The transplants lasted such a short time. They were becoming more risky to do. Even when I got a new one, I knew it wasn't going to last. This opens a new door for me and a new chapter in my life. He's looking forward to traveling, hopefully going to Japan, but he just wants to see the world and take it all in. His favorite sight, his niece and nephew, 4 years old and 2 years old. He said, they are so cute and so much fun. He is also a massage therapist and is looking forward to working again. He said, I've had so much time off in the last couple years because of the surgeries, but now I can give back and help people in pain and not make everything about me. And I think that's very helpful. Above all, he said he's excited to dream again, to not be limited by the instability of the condition and be able to plan and think ahead. Before, I was always afraid to plan because I was afraid I'd need emergency surgery or have an infection. It was so unpredictable. I'd make plans and it would be heartbreaking when I couldn't do them. But having human connection again visually is something that, of course, we all take for granted, those of us who have it. Dr. Maloney said, we've been taking care of Brent since he was a teenager. He's waited until he is 34 years old to have that ability to connect visually. We have all waited a long time. Nes Gadol Hayapo. Where would we be without our scientists, our doctors, our experts, our dreamers to take the human body and bring healing? Isn't that what we pray for every week? Isn't that what we want, maybe as much as anything, when we wish one another Shana Tova Umetuka, a good and a sweet year? Praised are you, Holy One, Sovereign of the universe, who gives sight to the blind. May all of our eyes be open to the miracles around us. Shabbat Shalom. And Shana Tova.